Always great having my next guest on the show. It's the controller, Connor Matthews, who'll be making his official UFC debut at UFC Atlantic City on March the 30th when he takes on Dennis Buzukja. Connor, how you doing, man?
Doing absolutely fantastic, man. Just got done training and gonna enjoy the rest of my night tonight. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited for this debut. We talked a little bit here before we actually started the interview. This being on the East Coast, I know it's not Boston, but it's pretty close. So, just how excited are you to be making this debut on the East Coast? And do you intend to have a lot of family and friends there in attendance?
Oh yeah. It's a 5 or 6 hour drive for my guys up here. So hopefully we're gonna get a lot of people down there. And man, yeah, man, it's been a lifelong dream for me to fight in the UFC. And Atlantic City is one of those spots. You know what I mean? It's like a casino city on the coast, and they have had big fights there. So I'm just happy to go out there and perform on the world stage in Atlantic City on the East Coast.
No doubt, man. And this is his backyard, right? So you're going to
Yep.
be essentially, I guess, going into enemy territory. We're in the black hat. Does that
Yep.
excite you? Does that amp you up?
Yeah, man, I always like that. It doesn't really bother me. Wherever I'm going, I'm preparing for war. So it doesn't matter if it's home, it's anywhere. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter to me. There's always been a big rivalry between New York and Boston. You know what I mean? So we're just can't hold that on. And what better way to start off my UFC career is fighting a guy from New York.
Yeah, no doubt. Mentioned Boston. Let me just ask you, Bill Belichick officially
Yeah.
moving on. I'm still I don't know. I feel kind of weird about it. It's the end of an era. It just makes me feel old,
Yeah.
really. Man, what are your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, we gotta appreciate everything he's done throughout his whole career. It's like anytime one of these like guys at the end of their career and they retire, obviously he didn't have the peak of winning. He did 6 Super Bowls. He did all this great stuff. Then he had a bad season this year, and then he kind of has to go out on a bad season. So everybody that leaves a weird taste in your mouth. But it's like, man, I honor everything he did. Man, that guy, the best coach literally the best coach ever. So it's sad to see, but I guess it's a new time, new era, and we'll see who takes the spot.
Yeah, well, it's Gerard Mayo. They hired him today, so he's the new
Oh,
head
did they?
coach.
I didn't
Yeah,
see that.
yeah. Well, you're too
Really?
busy training.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be Vrabel. So that's who I thought it was gonna be, because I actually met Vrabel before. So I was looking forward for that. Or they're gonna bring Tom Brady back as a coach. I was hoping that.
Yeah, I actually thought Vrabel. That's what I was thinking. I assumed that him leaving Tennessee, that would be a natural fit. But I don't mind Mayo. I mean, he was a really good player himself, and he was doing well as a coach there as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's good. And I believe, yeah, he was coaching with Belichick for a little while too. So they had really good success. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for that. I think we need to change up this year, is how things were going. So I'm not like, but I still honor everything Belichick has done. I had a great all the way through high school. From when I was a kid, it was like the Tom Brady era. We had the Red Sox win the World Series a couple of
Yeah.
times. The Boston Bruins came back, started winning Stanley Cups. It was just a really good era of sports in Boston growing up.
Yeah, and now the Celtics are the best team in
Yeah,
the organization, or excuse me, in the whole league. Really, they're the team in Boston right now that I feel like has the best chance to win it all.
yeah, and the New England Cartel, the other one.
Of course, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just thinking, the team sports with, Celtics, Bruins, Pats, Red Sox. Man, I got to ask you about something, Connor. You posted a picture on Instagram the other day that it was so cool. Talk about a transformation, man. It was
Yeah.
Cage Titans to now here you are making your UFC debut. What was the difference in years? Because you look like a different person. You put on a lot of muscle, man.
Oh yeah, I mean that's that. I had my first amateur fight, I think 2011. So right when I graduated high school, I turned 18. I had my first fight. I think that was my third fight from that photo for Cage Titans. I mean, so I was an 18, 19-year-old kid, and now I'm 31. So
Yeah.
it's been quite a bit of time. I went out to the military. I took 6 years off from fighting completely, and I served in the it was in special operations in the Air Force. That's where the controller comes from. I was a combat controller. And so it's been a long time. So I looked at that. I thought the same thing. I was like, holy shit, I look like a totally different person. But yeah, it's been a long ride. It's been a great ride from then to now.
Well, you still have the baby face. You just have that masculine beard covering it up now.
Yeah, this thing took a long time, honestly. I think it's all the shaving we had doing the military. So now it's finally coming in thick.
Yeah, that'll do it. My wife requires me to have facial hair because she says I look too young otherwise. So I'm with you, man. You got to keep a little stubble there. Let's talk about your Dana White's Contender Series performance. Big unanimous decision victory over Yair Farias. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but man, tough opponent. You looked amazing in there. Tell me, looking back on it now, just the takeaway from that fight.
I mean, takeaway is that guy was really good, man. Like I'm really happy to get that victory. I was very definitely put everything into that camp preparing for it. He's dangerous, man. He was 10-0. He had 6'2". They said he was 5'11", but he's really 6'2" or something like that. I think he was bigger. Really good striker. Definitely a fight that I can hold with me. That I took out somebody who's a dog, and he was really good. So we had a really good training camp going into that. Tyson and my team, Jake Manini and Pete Luciani, we really got me set up for that, and it gives me a lot of confidence to come into the UFC and perform. So yeah, I mean that was really, really, that was a good fight for me.
Talk about confidence, man. Getting that win, getting the contract. I mean, confidence has to be on another level now.
It is. It's healthy confidence. Now, you don't want to be too confident where, you think that you're the shit. You don't have to train hard. I mean, every single time you ever go into fight camp, you got to think you got to climb that mountain, get yourself back up to where you were. So, I'm not going to, it doesn't really matter. What happened in the past doesn't matter. It's what's in front of me that really matters. So, right now is this week was like, week 1 of fight camp. And, we're going to work on all those things I still, need to work on and get better at. And, right now it's not, I don't feel confident because I'm at the beginning of my fight camp, and I'd like to gradually build that up with my performance, having confidence without if I don't train my confidence into me, it doesn't really count. It's not going to be there in the fight. You have to really train that confidence into you so you can perform on fight night.
Oh yeah, very well said. You hear a lot of fighters talk about the octagon nerves, right? Like when you make your UFC debut, or heck, man, I have to imagine it's got to be similar in some aspects. Fighting at Contender Series, you're still fighting in front of the whole world. The eyes of the MMA world are watching you compete on ESPN Plus if they're not there in person in the Apex. Did you feel that? Like, were you nervous before that fight?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely for the Francis Marshall fight, my first time fighting on the
Mhm.
Contender Series. That was I was nervous as hell, man. I was not myself. That whole fight week, kind of going into it, the traveling got to me. And I went out there and I fought my ass off, but I didn't get the result I wanted. I didn't perform the way I wanted to. So going there again with the second time going on the Contender Series, I had so much more confidence because I can visualize, and I can, I knew what to expect when I got there. It
Mhm.
wasn't all new. So obviously, I mean, this is where this kid has this advantage in this fight. It's like this is his third UFC fight. He's been there. He's fought in front of the crowds. He's fought in front of the stadiums and everything. So he knows what it's like to fight on that stage. It's my first time, so that's something definitely have to take in consideration. But I think the experience I gained through my two Contender Series fight and my Dana White's looking for a fight, it's kind of, I've definitely developed a little bit of confidence in myself and preparation mentally to get ready for that stage.
Yeah, and I meant to actually phrase that question differently. I guess, did you feel more pressure or more nerves, that being your second time in there, knowing that a lot of guys you don't really see get that third crack at Contender Series. I think it's happened maybe once. So like, I guess that's where I was going with it. Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I kind of knew, like, I was like, hey, man, if I don't win this fight, I mean, there goes by. I'm 31. They don't even want old people to begin with. So, they're probably not going to give a guy who's 31 another shot to fight in the UFC if this doesn't go the way I want it to go. I mean, and it's like anything. It's like your back's against the wall right there, and you gotta go in there and perform. And you know what? This kid's probably doing the same thing right now. He's 0-2 in the UFC. His back as well. This is his last shot fighting to get to maintain his UFC contract, and that's a scary person to fight. Somebody this is their last shot. So that's the way I look at it, man. Yeah. I just it was definitely I definitely had that going in the back of my head, but my whole thing is like when you're fighting, you're training, you can't let the outside things you can't control get into your head. You need to focus on just getting the job done. You can only control what you can control, and that's something out of my control.
Mhm.
So I just focus on the things I can control, and track that straight ahead, and went in there and performed and got the job done.
Oh, that's why your nickname, or one of the reasons why it's the controller, right? You're just
Yeah.
focused on what you can control.
Yep, exactly.
Man, what has life been like for you since? Have you just been, in the gym getting better, or anything else going on?
Um, Life has said it's been great. A couple things. I mean, obviously, it's opened up a lot of doors for me. Being in the UFC now, did a lot of traveling with my team, the Cartel. So I got to go down to Austin and help out Rob for his fight. Rob Font, and then I've been doing a lot of traveling, a lot, but also staying in the gym, man. I know what pays the bills, and you can't change too much whatever got you there. You don't want to just go, oh, I'm in the UFC, I got to completely reinvent what I'm doing. I got to stick to the things that got me here, and especially when I'm in fight camp. I just kind of bring my back. To do the exact same stuff that I've been working on. Always trying to build my skills. Maybe bring in some new coaches. I got working with a new coach right now, Ruben. I don't know his last name, to be honest, but he works at South Boston Jiu-Jitsu. I've been working with that guy. He's a Danaher black belt. So that's been really good for me. I got Carlos Azoya as one of my training partners. I brought him in. We've been drilling a lot together. He's a good wrestler. So yeah, just keep building the skills that I want to work on, but not reinvent the wheel.
Rob Font, you mentioned him, tough fight with Figueiredo. What, I guess
Yeah.
from the team aspect of it, what was the takeaway?
So I mean, yeah, Figueiredo's a world champion, man. He's been there. He's been there for a while. He came up into a new weight class. It was unfortunate. I mean, the thing with all of our cartel guys, there's never a fight that we go in there and we lose and we just get finished real quick. You haven't seen it. Even if you go to like the Max Holloway Calvin fight, or you go to anytime, but Rob, even though Rob fought who's the guy's fighting? Cheeto. Rob versus Cheeto. Any times fight we take these L's, I mean, we're not getting finished and getting demolished. It's always just a long, we don't, it's just by a little bit, I mean? We do pretty well, but it sucks. Obviously we want to win those fights, but it is what it is. Rob still has so much knowledge, and so much stuff I can learn from him. And was drilling with him yesterday, and it's just really good to get that knowledge. He's fought at the world stage. He's fought at the highest level. So for me, it's somebody I know I can follow, and I can emulate to get the job done.
Yeah, he's a stud, no doubt about it, man. Can't wait for that Cater Aljo matchup.
Yeah.
Analyze that for me. How do you see that playing out?
So I mean, we saw Aljo in his last fight with the boxing, right? He doesn't have the best hands, he doesn't have the best striking, but he does have a very, very dangerous grappling game. So obviously, it's pretty evident Calvin's a really good striker, right? He's got really great boxing, great takedown defense as well. So I mean, it's jumping up a weight class, so that's gonna for Aljo. So Calvin's a huge 45er. I feel like I'm a decent sized 45er, and Calvin's bigger than I am. So I'm excited, man. I think that's gonna be a good fight for Calvin, and hopefully slingshot him back into where he was, because he had that rough. He tore his ACL in his last fight, and that was a bummer after beating Giga. You know what I mean? So I think I really want to see Calvin get this fight, get the job done, and slingshot him back up into where he deserves to be in the top 5.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hopefully that does happen for him. Can't talk about New England Cartel and not ask you about my guy Tom Pags. How's he doing? I'm sure he's around you a lot.
Oh my God, Tom's the hardest worker in the room. I say that all the time, man. Kid is just a savage. So it's been great for me he's helped me out so much this last year plus, how long I've ever been with the cartel. He's just an animal, man. He's nonstop. He had a rough fight, his last fight. He had a great camp going into it, and then he had some medical stuff at the very end, and it kind of messed up, but he still performed pretty good. He still performed really good. So I'm excited to see Tom get back on the horse, and I think he's gonna be one of the top guys out of New England. Obviously, he already is, but I can't wait to get him into the UFC and see how he does.
Tell me what makes Tyson such a great coach.
Tyson there's a lot of things. First of all, it's the way he's great. He runs a great practice. All right. In it, he puts we're always going to work on things you don't want to work on. I feel like a lot of camps, I don't know, but other camps I've been at, it seems like there's not one person kind of running the show. It's like kind of fighters are individually running themselves, or they'll have a small camp with them, or they get people around them that are like yes men, and they kind of tell you. Tyson's the opposite of that. Tyson is going to make everybody go into work and train hard. Like if you show up to practice late and you're not there, you're doing burpees before you come onto the mat. So he makes sure when we're if I have a fight coming up, that the rest of the team is there helping me. If I just fought and I'm done, he gets us back into the gym as soon as possible to help our teammates get ready for their fight. So it's there's a lot of that building the mentality, doing the right things. I mean, he got Coach of the Year 2020, and there's a reason why he did that. It's not always the specific technique skills. He'll bring it if he's not some people are kind of egotistical about they don't want to bring anybody else to help because they think they know what they're doing. I feel like Tyson's really good about it. If he sees an area where we need to struggle in, he'll bring in somebody who's really good in that area to help his guys. So that's something I really like about him.
Yeah, man, you got a great group of guys around you, and obviously this matchup here at UFC Atlantic City, it's going to be a fun one. March the 30th. You already said like what 5-6 hour drive from where you're at right now. Who will
Yep.
be in your corner come fight night?
I'm gonna have Tyson Chartier. I'm gonna have Jake Manini, who's my Muay Thai coach. He's been my striking coach for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years now. He also works with
Mhm.
Rob and Calvin,
Yep.
Tom and Nick. And then I'm gonna have my guy is Pete Luciani. He trains out of here. Sorry, I just got a phone call. Did that mess everything up?
No, you're good.
All right, cool. Sorry.
It just switched your. Oh, there it is. Okay, it went back and forth on
Yeah,
the
sorry about
angle.
that. Yeah. So then my other guy is Pete Luciani. Pete Luciani is he's a guy who turns out this is my gym right here in my basement, mom's basement MMA. And he's my other striking coach I have. He's more of like a boxing striking coach, but he's an MMA fighter. And he's been a huge help for me the last year. So like it's pretty evident my first fight against Francis Marshall, I got touched up a lot. And we worked on like a ton of defense with him, and he's helped out my defensive game a ton. So I'm bringing him as well.
Can't wait for it, man. Tell me what you like about this matchup. I mean, Dennis, he's a tough guy. He's been in there with some tough competition in the UFC already. He's 0-2, but Jamal Emmer, Sean Woodson, both of those guys are studs. So when you look at this matchup and what he's good at, what do you think we're going to see here?
I mean, he's a striker, really. What it comes down to, he's got good boxing. That's what I've noticed. He got some good kickboxing as well. Well, he can throw his kicks up there. Um, I think that I think that I'm better all over. Honestly, I really do think I'm a better striker. I can grapple better than him. I have a better gas tank. But he's dangerous. That being said, like he went against two high level UFC fighters in a row. It's not like they just gave him nobody. They gave him
Yeah.
Sean Woodson short notice fight, and then they gave what's his name? I can't think of his name right
Jamal
now.
Emmers.
Jamal Emers. And those are two top level guys in the UFC. So it's just like, he got the short end of the stick. You know what I mean? So he's definitely going to be dangerous. I'm not underestimate him. He looks like a strong, sturdy guy. He's 5'9", so he's an inch taller than I am. He looks muscular. So and he trained with Aljo. You know what I mean? He's from a good camp, so that he has the top level guys around him. It's no slouch at all. And I don't take him like that. So but I do think I'm a better martial artist overall.
Do you think he's just going to try and keep this on the feet and stand with you, try and knock you out? Like, do you think that's going to be the game plan?
Um, could be. I think so. I mean, if you look at a lot of his fights, it seems that's the way he is. You know what I mean? But I mean, yeah, I think so. I think he's going to try to box me. I think he's just going to. He thinks he's probably going to have the better. He thinks he probably has better striking than I have, and we'll see. I'm pretty confident in my boxing ability. I'm pretty confident in my kickboxing. I'm confident everywhere. So I'll take this fight wherever it needs to go. I'm just gonna get the job done.
Yeah, and you're saying that you believe that you're the more well-rounded mixed martial artist, so you think that you're going to be able to kind of dictate whether this fight does take place on the feet or goes to the ground.
I do think that. I think my distance management and my control. I think I'll be able to dictate where I want this to go for sure. My takedown defense is really good too. Um, the what I had I used to struggle with my wrestling a little bit. I think that was because I was a hockey player growing up, and I spent 6 years in the military, and I've done jujitsu my whole life, and then I was a karate kid, and then I did boxing. So that was a big hole in my game, was my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu. But since I started training with the Newland Cartel, we've been putting a ton of focus on that area of my game. So you saw it in my fight with Jai Ferreras, man. I took him down 6 or 7 times. So I'm confident in my ability to take people down, wrestle them, stay on top of them, and then my takedown defense has always been pretty good. So I'm confident everywhere.
Official prediction.
Official prediction is I want a first round finish, man. I want a 50K. And I want a bonus, and I want to secure myself in the UFC. I feel like if I go out there and I get that finish the way in the striking department, people are going to really start knowing who I am, and that's going to kick off my UFC career. So that's what I want, and so that's what we're going to go with.
And with you being in the UFC now, Connor, and you having the first name Connor, you want to win this 50K. Have you practiced your Irish 50 G's baby speech? Like you got to get that
Nah,
going.
No, we're gonna be a different kind of role model here for me. I'm not gonna copy the Conor McGregor thing. I'm doing my own thing. But I got the two ends. I'm just the upgrade right now.
I love it. I love it, man. Great answer. Can't wait to see you in there, brother. Last question for me: goals for 2024. How many UFC fights do you want? Where do you see yourself as this new calendar year actually closes?
So I want three UFC fights this year for sure. I want to, fight, hopefully get one in June or July. If I get through this fight and knock somebody out and I'm healthy, I'm 100% down to put two fights close together. If I get fight soon after that, I'll be ready to fight soon after that, especially if I put on a performance. So let's say I want to go 3-0 this year in the UFC. I want at least two finishes in the UFC out of those three fights, and we'll be sitting pretty good.
Connor Matthews back in action March the 30th, UFC debut at UFC Atlantic City when he faces Dennis Buzukja. Great talking to you again, my man. As always, before we do sign off here, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, floor is yours.
All right, yeah. So just like to shout out to my team, the Newland Cartel. Wouldn't be here without them. Mom's Basement is my gym right here. Shout out to all the guys in Mom's Basement. We're doing our work. Shout out to Operation Vet Now is one of my sponsors. We support veterans. Anybody struggling with this, with PTSD. Also, We Defy. We do the same thing. We want use jujitsu to support guys with PTSD. Anybody struggling with PTSD, reach out to We Defy. We'll find you a gym to go train and sponsor you to get in there and help you guys out. And basically, that's what I got right now.